My name is Rachel Moore. I was born 4 minutes after my twin sister, Hannah. Just 4 minutes, but to our parents, Charles and Elizabeth Moore, those minutes defined everything. From the very beginning, it felt like they had one real daughter. And it wasn't me. Hannah was the favorite, clearly and consistently. She got the new dolls, the new dresses, the sweet words, the attention. I got the leftovers, second-hand toys, hand-me-down clothes, and reminders that, "You're strong, Rachel, you can handle it." When Hannah cried, my mother rushed to comfort her. When I scraped my knee, I was handed a napkin and told to be patient. I learned early that no one noticed my pain unless it came with performance. So I tried to be brave, bold, better. I remember once when we were 5, Hannah was scared to climb a tall metal structure in the playground. I climbed it for her and jumped down, terrified but hoping for praise. My dad ran up and hugged Hannah. "You're so brave," he told her. Then, to me, "Be careful, Rachel. You could get hurt." That was the script for the rest of my childhood. Hannah could smile and be showered with praise. I had to achieve, succeed, overperform, and still barely be acknowledged. I hid my jealousy. It's hard for a child to understand why she's loved less. At night I cried into a worn teddy bear, a gift from my grandmother, the only adult who ever looked at me with warmth. As we got older, the favoritism deepened. At school, Hannah's mediocre art projects were declared masterpieces, while my writing and awards barely registered at home. When we brought our report cards, mine full of A's and hers scattered with B's and C's, they congratulated her enthusiastically. Me? Just a nod. "Of course. You're a smart girl." They believed Hannah needed support. She was tender, vulnerable. Me? "You'll figure it out." So I did. And I worked harder every year, not for them anymore, but to prove to myself that I was worthy. When it came time for college, we both chose accounting. I loved precision, numbers, order. I don't think Hannah ever cared much. She just said it was a popular major. Our parents paid for her tuition in full. For me, they said, "You'll manage. You're clever. Try for scholarships." I didn't complain. I applied for every grant, scholarship, and part-time job I could find. I cleaned floors in the dorms, worked in the library, stretched every hour and every dollar. While Hannah lived comfortably, partying and relaxing, I studied through exhaustion and chased every opportunity. That's how I met Professor McLaughlin, in an elective course on international financial reporting. After class, he asked about my background. I told him I'd just studied on my own. He seemed surprised. "Do you like accounting?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I believe order in numbers creates order in minds." He smiled and offered me a job as his assistant. I was thrilled. I called my mother to tell her the news. She said, "That's good, Rachel." Then added, "Hannah got invited to a professor's party." Sounds fancy, doesn't it? It was always like that. No matter what I achieved, it was equal, or less than, her being invited somewhere. One night, I got an email, "Benjamin Ford Scholarship, preliminary selection." I didn't even apply. Professor McLaughlin had nominated me. It was one of the most prestigious national scholarships in the field of accounting. Only 5 students were selected each year. I couldn't believe it. I didn't tell anyone. I prepared everything myself, essays, documents, references. McLaughlin helped quietly. I submitted the application and returned to my exhausting routine. Months passed. Then one evening, after work, I found the letter. I was one of the 5 winners. I cried. Alone. Quietly. For the first time, I felt truly seen. The award ceremony was held at a major university. I was asked to bring my parents. I hesitated. But the little girl inside me still hoped. I called home and told my mother. She seemed unsure. "We'll try to make it." The day of the ceremony arrived. I wore my only formal dress. The hall was full, professors, executives, guests. I saw my parents sitting with Hannah. My sister looked glamorous as always. My parents looked confused, out of place. Names were announced. Stories shared. Then mine. The next student is an example of resilience and discipline. With no financial help, She rose from dorm cleaner to top of her class. Please welcome Rachel Moore. Applause. Standing ovation. I stood, feeling every part of me shake. As I walked to the stage, I glanced into the audience. My mother's expression was blank. My father looked stunned. Hannah's face was hard to read. Maybe envy. Maybe surprise. I accepted the award, smiling through tears I refused to let fall. That moment felt like justice. Finally. Afterward, people approached me with congratulations, business cards, offers. I was glowing, not from their attention, but from my own quiet pride. My parents came over. You should have told us it was this serious, my mom said. Have you ever listened? I replied. They told me they thought I was strong, that I didn't need help. I told them, you never asked. I turned to Hannah. Did you ever wonder how I was paying for school? She shook her head, speechless. I don't need your approval anymore, I said. And I meant it. At the reception, recruiters offered me jobs. One from New York, my dream. I accepted. My parents stayed awkwardly on the sidelines, unsure of their place now that I was no longer their quiet, overlooked daughter. Later that week, at a family dinner for scholarship recipients, my mother tried to reach out. We really do love you both, she said. Maybe we got our priorities wrong. It's not about love, I said. It's about how I always had to earn every bit of approval. And now I've stopped trying. My dad offered an apology. I accepted it with grace, but not with hope. Something had broken, or maybe something had finally healed. Hannah sent me a message later, saying our parents were now expecting more from her. She found it overwhelming. She had never lived without their crutches. I found it ironic. My path had always been harder, but I was stronger for it. A week before I moved to New York, Hannah visited me. She seemed lost. Maybe we shouldn't be so far apart, she said. Our parents want us close. They never cared where I was before, I replied. Now I care where I'm going. She wished me luck and left. For the first time, I saw in her the uncertainty I used to feel. And I felt no hatred, just quiet understanding that we had grown into very different people. In New York, I worked hard. 10 to 12-hour days, studying, learning, rising. I got promoted. I felt alive. And I no longer needed praise from anyone to feel proud of myself. Sometimes, on walks through Manhattan, I think about how different my life might have been if my parents had supported me the way they did Hannah. Would I have pushed this hard? Maybe not. So, in a strange way, I'm grateful. Their indifference made me relentless. Their silence made me fierce. And their favoritism taught me to choose myself. Now, I live for me. I love myself without condition. And I want others, especially those who grew up overlooked, to know that they can make it, too. You don't need a perfect family to build a meaningful life. You don't need to be seen to be valuable. Sometimes, strength is born from the love you never received. And when I finally graduated and earned my diploma, my parents didn't come. My mother said, "You can manage without us, right?" I smiled. Yes, of course I can. And I did. I still am.